So what do people really need? Do people need more music? I'm going to give you the shocking truth. People don't need more music. There's enough music in the world, but most musicians think that the world needs their music, that it's important that they do what they do. You're doing what you do because it's fun for you, because you're having a great time. And in the end, if you're able to connect with people, people will like you and people will then listen to your music. But if you're just trying to push music into a world that already has a lot of music, you're going to fail. In my previous video about music promotion, I talked about why Spotify is not an ideal place to promote your music anymore. I talked about human attention span, and as it shrinks, people are only able to focus on very short content, 30 seconds max, and also that people are very, very visual. People respond better to visual information, and Spotify is neither a short form content platform, nor is it visual. And on top of everything, it's also full of fake playlists, bots, scammers. The playlists there are also very, very long. So do yourself a favor, stop promoting your music on Spotify, stop submitting to Spotify playlists, and instead make video shorts. Now, before I go into what kind of shorts you should make, I'm not a YouTuber. I don't have too much time to make YouTube videos. So if you find this video useful, please like it, and a sub to the channel would be highly appreciated. So before we even start making shorts, the most important thing is figuring out what is it exactly that we're trying to promote. This is marketing. If you want to market something, you need to know what it is exactly that you're trying to market. And the first thing I'd like to focus on today is, who are you? If you have a very clear idea of who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and how others perceive you, your life will go very, very smooth. You won't have a problem presenting yourself, you won't have a problem marketing yourself, but it's hard to know who you are and also how others perceive you. Many musicians have a certain view about themselves as being cool, creative, crazy, I don't know. But in the end, when you ask other people how they view them, they give you a totally different reaction. I'll give you a story. I remember that after I was teaching for 3 years, when I was in my first teaching job at DBS Music Berlin, I got a job at Abbey Road Institute, and it was like an amazing opportunity. I could be the main teacher, I could be involved in writing content and all that stuff, and they also sent me to Abbey Road Studios in London. I met a lot of famous people that worked with the Beatles and with Pink Floyd. It was amazing, like also going to Abbey Road Studios, but still, this was a teaching job. So I remember one of my early students from like my first year of teaching sent me an email, asked me how I was doing, and I was like, oh, I just started working at Abbey Road Institute. And when they replied, they wrote something that kind of hurt my feelings. They said, wow, you really got yourself a really good teaching career. That's amazing. And I remember reading this being like, teaching career? I'm a cool music producer. What the hell is this? Like, I'm cool, I'm creative, I work on a lot of things. I work with crazy analog synthesizers and make stuff that nobody makes. Teaching career? How dare you? But in the end, this is how people view you, or this is how people viewed me. My students viewed me as a teacher, someone who's relatable, someone that has good stories. So it didn't matter how I viewed myself at the time. It was my students that helped me realize that I'm a good teacher, that they enjoy my stories, that they enjoy this side of me. This is the part of me that people wanted. So the main thing is to think about, what is it that people want from you? What side of you is actually the part that is most relatable, that is marketable? Don't think about how you perceive yourself or how your mom perceives you. Think about people who have an objective opinion about you. People who actually have a little bit of distance from you, who are able to see you as who you are. Think about, what is it about you that gives value to other people? And for me, this was being a teacher. So the first thing to figure out is who you are. And if you're having problems with this, try describing yourself in 3 words. I know this is super difficult, but you can do it. This is how I ended up with indie music producer, or when people ask me like, what do I do? I'm a music producer, I work on indie music, and I'm also a teacher. Finished. So if you're able to describe yourself in 3 words, maybe ask other people, about what kind of words they would use to describe you. Once you get like 3 solid words, try writing 1 sentence out of each word. You can use Gemini or ChatGPT for this if you want to write better sentences, but this will give you a really clear idea on who you are, what it is that you do, and how you can market yourself. Because as I said before, if you want to market something, you first need to figure out what it is. Now, once you figure that out, the next thing would be to figure out what is it that people really need. So what do people really need? Do people need more music? I'm going to give you the shocking truth. People don't need more music. There's enough music in the world, but most musicians think that the world needs their music, that it's important that they do what they do. You're doing what you do because it's fun for you, because you're having a great time. And in the end, if you're able to connect with people, people will like you and people will then listen to your music. But if you're just trying to push music into a world that already has a lot of music, you're going to fail. So the first thing to think about is not what you want to give, it's what do people want from you. If you're able to think in that way, what do people really want from me, not what I'm trying to push at them, this will really give you a great idea on how to, first of all, market yourself, and also where does your music fit within your content. So think about it like this. Most of the times when I'm watching Instagram or YouTube Shorts or TikTok, and there's a musician, they're like, here's my new song, listen to it. Here's some music coming out next week. Subscribe, do this, do that. It's very, very aggressive, and it creates an instant repulsion in people. People are like, enough. I've had enough of this nonsense. I don't need more music. Here's the better way of looking at things. Think about it like this. If you created a certain video, which is actually something that people want to see, maybe it's funny, maybe it's inspiring, and instead of pushing your music, you would put your music in the background. Your music would just be there, and anybody who's actually interested could go and find it for themselves. Think about that kind of journey. One person has music pushed in their face, they're like, I don't want that, and another person just sees a video that they like. They're like, oh, this person is cute, I like this person, they're funny, they're inspiring. What was that song in the background? They then check your profile, they find your Spotify link, they find your YouTube link, they find your Apple Music link. Put your music everywhere pretty much. Make it easier for whoever that wants to find your music to listen to wherever they like to listen. And they will end up going, finding the music themselves, and they'll be like, wow, I searched, I found, and now I'm going to recommend this to my friends because it was my decision. I found this music. It was not pushed in my face. So remember that. Instead of pushing, let people find your music in a more passive way. This helps people to feel like it's their decision. They have decided to become your fan, and they will, of course, do the work for you and recommend you to their friends. So now that we understand where the music fits within the content, let's talk about what kind of content to make. What do people really want to see? When I think about what people really want to see on social media, I can pretty much drop everything into 3 main categories. And I will focus on each category on its own and give you specific types, specific examples of shorts that you can make for each category. So the first category is inspiration. People need to feel inspired. People want to see other people succeed in something. People want to see someone learn something. People want to see someone solve a problem. When you see someone doing something, you think, I can do that too. So people need that too. The second thing is people need comic relief. People need to laugh. Think about it. Most of the things, at least for me, that I'm watching on Instagram is funny cat videos, or I don't know, animals doing funny things. People just need a bit of relief from everyday boring life. So if you're able to make people laugh, if you're funny, that's also a good way to get people's attention. That's also a great way for people to like you as who you are, and then later also discover your musical side. And the third thing, which I think is the most important part, is people need to feel connection to another person. People want to relate to others. We live in a very, very digital world. Everybody's on their phones all the time. Everybody's on their computers. I don't know how much people hang out with each other anymore. And from what I get, like the younger the generation is, the situation is worse. People actually feel connection to other people today via social media. People like YouTubers, people like Instagrammers or whatever it's called, TikTokers. Like, people just see someone, they're like, wow, I like them. I want to follow them. I want to see their story. I want to relate to them. If you can create that kind of quality in your videos, that you're showing your personal side, you're showing who you are behind the scenes, you're not just thinking about how cool you are. If you create something that's very, very relatable, people are going to follow you for sure, and then they're going to check your music. So now that we know these 3 pillars of value, as I like to call them, which is inspiration, comic relief, and relatability or connection, let's explore specific types of shorts that you can make as a musician that would fit into these categories and would help people to see who you really are. Let's talk about inspiration. Inspiration is very, very important when it comes to telling your story in a way. People really like inspirational stories. I'll give you my inspirational story that everybody likes. Every time I tell the story, everybody always feels inspired and like, I should do same thing. So I didn't start music on an early age, and I didn't have any support at home when it came to music. My family is the most non-musical family in the world. My mom listens to the radio. That's as far as like music goes in my family. When I wanted to learn music, I had zero support. I asked for instruments, I didn't get them. I asked for music lessons, I didn't get them. When I was 16, I bought my first musical instrument out of my own money, which was a harmonica, because that was everything I could afford. And I played that harmonica for a year, and then again I saved a little bit of money. I bought my first guitar, which was not the best guitar in the world, and I took lessons on my own, I practiced on my own. Anybody who could teach me a chord or could show me something on the guitar, I learned. I didn't come also from a rich background or something, so everything needed to be funded by myself. It was very, very slow, but in the end, I managed to learn music without any support. I started late, and look, I made a career out of it. So everybody that's thinking like, oh, it's too late for me to start into music, I'm too old, I can't do it. Yes, you can do it. You can get very, very far without having any support. You can start at any age, and you can get to a very, very good level if you work hard. So that's my story, and that's just an example of how people respond to inspiring stories. So how do you create inspiration in others as a musician? Well, think about it like this. You could show how you've learned an instrument. If you have old videos of you before you could play the guitar, before you could play the piano, if you could show them like how you used to play and how you play now, that's inspiring. If you can show people how you had a problem, for example, you have a full-time job, but you made an album. If you can document that, how you found time at night to record things before you had to go to work, or maybe you woke up at 5 in the morning so that you can make some music before you go to work, that's something. Maybe you have a family, you have kids, you're very, very busy, and you have to rehearse at home to make sure that you can watch your kid, or you have to take your kid with you to rehearsals because you can't leave them alone. Anything that's relatable, inspiring, would help people to see you, would help you to tell your story, would help you to captivate your audience, and by doing that, you are guaranteed to have more people follow you and listen to the music that you put out. Now, a few more examples from the top of my mind. If you're a band and you're touring, you could show life on tour. What is it that you're eating? How do you survive on the road? How do you sleep together? Like if you're sleeping in bunk beds, if you're sleeping on a bus, that's super interesting. Show people hardships, you know what I mean? Like, how do you survive what you do? Maybe you wanted to add drums to a track, but you don't have a drum kit, so you could show people how you've used pans and pots, or boxes, or digital stuff, whatever. People like problem solution type of videos. So if you could show people like, I've had a problem and here's how I solved it, that's a great example of inspiration type video shorts. So the next type of shorts that I recommend that you make is funny shorts. What kind of shorts can a musician make that are actually funny? And I'll give you an example. Again, another story from my life. A few weeks ago, I went to a koto concert in Japan. This is a koto, by the way. Beautiful instrument. So I went to a koto performance, And the people in these performances are amazing. Like, they've been practicing this stuff for years, for like 20, 30 years, and they're like super good. And I remember there was a moment on stage that I was thinking like, this could have been like a viral short. So this person is like playing their life out. They're like really doing it. And then of course they have the notes in front of them. So they stop for a minute. They're about to turn the page. Everything's silent. Like, there's like, I don't know, 300 people in the audience. Everything's silent. Everybody's waiting for the next part. And out of nowhere, a kid starts laughing in the audience. And it's like a super loud laughter. Now, I, of course, started laughing when I heard this, but everybody being very Japanese and serious, nobody bothered. The performer just turned the page, went on with it. But if I'm thinking like, this could have been amazing, if they have the video from that part, if I'm that artist, I'm posting that on social media of like, here's something unexpected that could happen at any moment. You're like very serious, you're performing, and out of nowhere, you stop for a second, and a kid starts laughing right when you stop. That's amazing. So that would be a good example of a funny short. Maybe you are playing a song and suddenly a string breaks, or you're trying to hit a note and you hit a really bad note. That's funny. People like to see you fail. That's also funny in general. Like, if you have kids, they love to see you fail. They like to see you fall, break things. They really think that's funny, and adults like that too. If you can show people how you fail, that's great. Another example off the top of my mind is, let's say you are like doing your final mix and you're like, wow, this sounds amazing, amazing. Like, you can play how, like, you can put it on Pro Tools, on Ableton Live, like, all right, it's playing final mix, and suddenly CPU overload, computer crashes, this kind of stuff. Anything that's unexpected, maybe you're rehearsing and suddenly your cat comes in the middle, like ruins the take, or your kid comes in. Anything that's unexpected, funny is guaranteed way to get more exposure. So the third thing I want to talk about is relatability, connection. This is where we go back to the point where I say, describe yourself in 3 words, figure out who you are, how you're trying to promote yourself, because once you know who you really are, you can show people your sides outside the music. How do you create relatable videos? I'll give you an example. Again, I'll give you another story from my life, and then I'll go into examples. So my girlfriend, she has this channel that she really likes on Instagram. And on this video, you have this girl, and she's always doing like, here's how I put makeup on myself in 60 seconds. And it's super funny because sometimes she puts her eyebrows here, and sometimes she smears the makeup because she has like a timer, and it's like super, super fast. And I'm thinking about this, and like, I remember when I saw this channel, I was like, wow, this is brilliant. This is super relatable, because when you see photos or videos with this girl, when she has really good makeup on, she's really beautiful. But instead, she's actually showing people how she looks like without makeup. She's not trying to push her beauty into people's face. She's like, look, I'm just like you. Without makeup, I'm just a normal girl. It's funny because she's doing it very, very fast. It's everything. It's relatable. It's unexpected. It's also inspirational because she's like, wow, how fast can she do her makeup? So if I'm thinking about like someone who really knows how to do Instagram or how to do shorts, that's an amazing example of like, it's relatable, it's funny, and it's inspirational. So what could you do that is relatable? How can you show people your personal side? Now, there was a band that commented on a previous video that said, we're making this kind of music, this is our genre, we don't really play normal genres, and it's difficult. And I'm like, first thing that musicians do wrong is thinking too much about the music, about genres. People don't care about that stuff. If you're a band is about friendship. It's about people getting together, and they meet each other and they make music together. Show people your life as a band without the music. You probably eat together. Maybe you have some old photos of how you looked like when you just met when you were teenagers, if it's like a long-term project. Think about stuff that shows who you are as people. People like people. The music is just a byproduct. So now that we covered inspiration, comic relief, and relatability, connection, I want to show you a couple of examples that actually tick a few boxes, because if you're able to make shorts that tick 2 boxes out of 3 or 3 boxes out of 3, those are going to be the best type of shorts. So I'd like to finish this video with 3 examples that tick multiple boxes, just to give you an idea of what would be good quality shorts. So the first example I have is, let's say you take a note from your girlfriend or from your boyfriend or for someone you love, and you turn that note into song lyrics. That could be, first of all, inspirational because you found lyrics or you found inspiration in everyday things. You took a note and you turned it into lyrics. It's relatable because you're actually bringing somebody into this world. You're actually like, oh, I have a partner, I have a friend, I have a mom. Somebody wrote something for me that touched me and I turned it into lyrics. That's very relatable. And who knows, maybe something that they wrote is funny, or maybe you turn it into something funny. This creates a funny moment, an inspirational moment, and also a very relatable moment. So that's a great example of something that could tick 3 boxes. You could do this specific version, or you could think about similar things that would tick 3 boxes or 2 boxes at once. Second example is, remember when I told you you could shoot a fail when a kid or your cat comes in the middle of a take? Now, this is funny. And this is also relatable because people love animals, people love kids. You're showing people a part of your life that isn't really about music. It's like, oh, I also have a dog, or I have a cat, or I have a kid. They're coming in. That's funny. So you've got relatable and funny. And just imagine if you're able to keep playing while distraction is happening, that's inspiring. There are people are like, wow, this person has all these distractions and they're still playing. So that's ticking 3 boxes, or maybe 2 if you failed and stopped in the middle. But that makes it even more funny. So keep that in mind. Third example is use something that isn't usually used for making music. For example, again, if you have kids, take one of your kids' toys and use that in a song. It's inspirational because you've made music out of something that isn't really an instrument. It's funny because usually kids' toys sound funny. Or if you have a dog, for example, you could take one of those chewy toys and use that in your song. So this is an example that ticks 2 boxes. It's inspiring because nobody expects you to make music with these things, and it's funny. And also it's relatable because people like animals. So maybe you could like show your dog or show your cat responding to you making music with their toy. So this was a long video. I hope this gave you a better idea now on what kind of shorts you should make and where your music should fit within these shorts. If I forgot anything, or if you have cool ideas for shorts that people can make, please share them in the comment section. Everybody can benefit from your ideas too. Everything I gave you was just stuff I thought about, but I'm sure that everybody that's watching this is also a musician, you're also creative, and I'd love to get your feedback on what kind of shorts would also work. And if you find this video useful, please like it, and a sub to the channel would be highly appreciated.